I came home for Christmas to find the house empty, except for Grandma, eating leftovers. A note on the table read, "Spent your $10,000 loan on a family cruise. Take care of her." Grandma looked up and said, "We'll fix this." I just nodded. For days later, they were begging. I thought I was coming home for a magical Christmas, but what I found was a betrayal so deep, it threatened to shatter my entire future, all for a family vacation they didn't even invite me to. The note on the fridge simply said, "Used your $10,000 loan on a family Caribbean cruise. Love you." My grandma's quiet strength that day saved me, and together, we were about to teach my family a lesson they'd never forget. My name is Rosalind, and I'm 28. Just 3 months away from finally graduating nursing school, a dream I'd worked myself to the bone for. I'd driven 6 grueling hours from Chicago to my childhood home in Springfield, Missouri, my car packed to the brim with carefully wrapped gifts. I was so excited, anticipating the usual Christmas chaos. My mom, Diane, baking up a storm, my dad, Harold, watching football, my older brother, Jacob, and younger sister, Olivia, bickering over the TV remote. My grandma, Eleanor, would be in her recliner, knitting. But when I walked in, the house was eerily silent. No decorations, no familiar smells, just this unsettling quiet. I found Grandma Eleanor in the kitchen, calmly eating microwave turkey. My stomach dropped. Then I saw it, a hastily scribbled note, stuck to the fridge under a souvenir magnet. My mom's handwriting, complete with her signature flower doodles. I pulled it off and read it. Twice. Just to make sure my eyes weren't playing tricks on me. "Rosie, sweetie, last-minute amazing deal on a Caribbean cruise. Could not pass it up. Used your loan money. Hope you do not mind. Consider it our family Christmas gift. Taking care of bills when we return. Grandma could not manage the trip with her mobility issues. So, please take care of her back in 4 days. Love you bunches." Mom, Dad, Jake, and Live, hugs and kisses. I stared at it, the casual tone, the hearts dotting the eyes, as if borrowing $10,000 without permission was the same as borrowing a sweater. I couldn't even form words. I began, my voice trailing off. "Left yesterday afternoon," Grandma supplied, her voice tight with a bitterness I rarely heard. "Right after they booked the cruise. Said they got an email about a cancellation deal, paid for it, packed, and were gone within 3 hours. They didn't even take down the Christmas decorations because they never put them up in the first place." I slumped against the refrigerator, the note crumpling in my trembling hand. My loan money. That was for my final semester, my clinicals, my certification. How could they just take it? My family, you see, had always been a bit financially chaotic. Dad's sales commissions were unpredictable, so some months we were comfortable, others we scraped by. Mom, a part-time receptionist, always spent more than she earned. Grandma Eleanor, who moved in when I was 10 after Grandpa died, was the steady one. While my parents rode financial roller coasters, Grandma was calm, practical. She taught me to budget, to save for rainy days, lessons my parents never seemed to absorb. On nights when Mom and Dad argued about money, I'd slip into her room, and she'd tell me stories or help with homework. "You have a good head on your shoulders, Rosie," she'd say. "You are going to break this cycle." And I tried. I worked my tail off in nursing school, juggling multiple jobs to avoid debt. That $10,000 loan was my absolute last resort, a crucial lifeline for my final semester. It was my finish line, the final hurdle before becoming a registered nurse. But my family had a history of dipping into my carefully managed life. Dad once borrowed my first car, a Honda I'd saved 2 years for, and returned it with a damaged transmission he couldn't afford to fix. Mom had emergencies that required loans she rarely repaid. Jacob borrowed textbook money and paid it back months late, forcing me to use credit cards. Olivia used my credit card for concert tickets, lying it was for art supplies. Each time, I forgave them. They were family. But Grandma Eleanor would shake her head. "Love does not mean being a doormat, Rosie," she'd warn. I always made excuses. Christmas was special to me. Even in lean years, my parents made it magical. I carefully saved to buy thoughtful gifts. For Mom, an antique brooch. For Dad, a rare first edition novel. High-end headphones for Jacob. A leather portfolio for Olivia. And for Grandma, a cashmere sweater and digitized family photos. No one mentioned vacation plans in the weeks leading up to it. Our traditions seemed securely in place. My journey home had been filled with a joyful anticipation that was now utterly crushed. The urban sprawl of Chicago had given way to rural fields, and by late afternoon, the winter sun was setting over my childhood neighborhood. I'd pictured Mom in the kitchen, Dad watching football, the Christmas tree twinkling. I had no idea the home I remembered wouldn't be there. As I pulled onto Maple Street, I knew something was wrong. Other houses twinkled with lights, but ours stood dark. No illuminated reindeer, no wreath. Just Dad's old Buick. A knot tightened in my stomach. I pushed open the front door. "Hello, I'm home." I called out, my voice echoing in the undecorated living room. No tree, no garland. The air was stale, with a faint smell of microwave food. In the kitchen, dear, Grandma's voice came, the only familiar sound. I dropped my bags. Grandma, where is everyone? What happened? Her face, lined with 82 years, held an expression I couldn't decipher, a mix of embarrassment and anger. The note confirmed it. Used your loan money. My loan money. That hit me like a physical blow. The account had been opened when I was 18, my parents as co-signatories for emergencies. I'd never removed them. It was where my student loans and larger expenses went. They can't just take it, I whispered, but even as I said it, I knew they could. And they had. My phone buzzed. A social media notification. There they were, all 4 of them, on a cruise ship deck, wearing leis, holding tropical drinks. Surprise Christmas vacation. So blessed, my mother's caption read, posted just 30 minutes ago. They hadn't even taken Grandma. The betrayal deepened, looking at her frail form. Doctors said my hip wouldn't handle the ship, she replied, a bitter smile that held no humor. Your father said. They'd bring me a souvenir. I felt physically ill, a wave of nausea washing over me. Rosie, sit down before you fall down, Grandma ordered. I obeyed, collapsing into a chair. They stole from me, I whispered. My own family stole from me. Yes, they did, Grandma agreed, her voice devoid of any sugarcoating. And we are going to deal with it. My mind raced through the consequences. No money meant no final clinicals. No clinicals, no graduation. No graduation, no nursing license. For years of brutal hard work, gone. I checked my bank account with trembling hands. Drained. Every penny, gone, transferred to a travel agency 3 days ago. I tried calling them, Mom, Dad, Jacob, Olivia. Straight to voicemail. Text messages delivered but unread. Meanwhile, more vacation photos popped up. Each one a fresh stab of betrayal. Let's look around, Grandma suggested. In the home office, we found printed brochures, travel guides, discarded luggage tags, used boarding passes to Miami. Empty hangers in my parents' closet where summer clothes should have been stored. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was calculated. They planned this, I said, sinking onto my parents' bed. Once they saw the deal, they deliberately used my money. Grandma sat beside me, her small hand covering mine. Your father has always wanted what he wants when he wants it, she said softly. I failed him as a mother in that way. I should have taught him better. I shook my head, too numb to cry. This isn't your fault, Grandma. Perhaps not entirely, she conceded. But what matters now is what we do next. What we did next was call financial aid, my academic advisor. Both went to cheerful holiday voicemails. The first wave of desperate panic washed over me. I couldn't afford another loan. I'd maxed out my eligibility. I can't finish school, I said, pacing the kitchen. You will finish, Grandma said firmly. We will figure this out. But I couldn't see how. My carefully constructed future felt like it was crumbling around me. I retreated to my childhood bedroom, still exactly as I'd left it, nursing posters, textbooks, scholarship offers. Surrounded by relics of a younger, more trusting me, I finally broke down. The tears came in great, heaving sobs, a primal scream of betrayal, loss, and the devastating realization that the people who should protect me most had chosen to harm me for their temporary pleasure. A soft knock, and Grandma came in, carrying a steaming mug of chamomile tea. She sat beside me, her gnarled hand on my back, moving in slow circles. Let it out, Rosie, she murmured. You've earned these tears. When the worst had passed, she handed me the tea and tissues. Now we talk, she said, firm. For 2 hours, we talked. Not just about the cruise, but about the pattern. This isn't the first time, is it? Grandma asked. No. I admitted it all. The $800 Dad borrowed for an investment I never saw again, my college fund, drained to less than $3,000 for vacations and Jacob's car, Dad wrecking my first car. Jacob and Olivia's textbook and concert ticket schemes. They take advantage of me. They always have. And they do it to me, too, Grandma said, pulling out an old photo album. She revealed her own stories, how my father convinced her to sell her house, promising a renovated den, only to use most of the proceeds to pay off their credit card debt. How her Social Security checks mysteriously disappeared. How her jewelry, including her wedding ring, had gone missing over the years. Why did you never say anything? I asked, shocked. Same reason as you, I expect, she said with a sad smile. Love, shame, hope that next time would be different. My phone buzzed again. More social media photos. My family ziplining, swimming with dolphins at the captain's table, beaming with carefree joy. My messages to them remained unread. They're just ignoring me, I said, tossing the phone aside. They know what they did was wrong, Grandma said. Easier to pretend everything is fine than face the consequences. I spent the rest of the evening in a daze, making calls that went to voicemail, sending emails to holiday auto-replies. I was nearly $5,000 short for my final semester, even after emptying my meager savings. Sleep was impossible. Sometime after midnight, I heard Grandma on the phone in the hallway. Her voice was uncharacteristically sharp. "Harold James Wilson, you answer this phone right now. What you have done to Rosalind is despicable, and there will be consequences when you return." Then her voice dropped too low for me to hear. Morning brought no relief. 15 days. That's all I had to somehow come up with nearly $10,000, or my nursing degree would be delayed, or worse, lost. "You look like you've been hit by a truck," Grandma observed as I stumbled downstairs. "Sit," she commanded. "I've been thinking." The emotional numbness had settled over me, a strange calm. Grandma placed scrambled eggs and toast before me. "Eat while I talk," she instructed. "You'll need your strength." The next morning, I found Grandma Eleanor already dressed in a pantsuit, her white hair neatly styled, makeup applied. She sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by notebooks, my laptop open. "Operation Consequence," she announced with grim satisfaction, turning the screen toward me. To my utter surprise, she had created a detailed spreadsheet. "I've been taking classes at the community center for years," she said. Her eyes, clear and determined behind her reading glasses, scanned the tabs. First tab, financial options. Second, legal considerations. Third, a timeline of action items. Fourth, resources and contacts. I blinked. "Grandma, I appreciate this, but I'm not sure there's a solution." "There is always a solution," she interrupted firmly. "It may not be easy or comfortable, but there is always a way forward." She revealed she had a modest savings account, a secret from my parents. "Not a fortune, mind you," she clarified, "but enough to temporarily cover your tuition if we cannot recover the money in time." I protested immediately. "Grandma, no. That's your retirement money." "You are not taking it," she corrected, steel in her voice. "I am lending it to you, with proper documentation, and your family will be repaying me every penny with interest." This was non-negotiable. "Besides," she continued, more gently, "what good is saving for my future if I cannot help secure yours? You are the only one in this family who has shown real responsibility and ambition. My investment in you is the safest one I could make." Tears threatened again, but of a different kind. "Say you will stop being a doormat," she replied bluntly. "Love without limits creates monsters, Rosie. I learned that too late with your father. You have a chance to learn it now." She shared more about enabling my father's poor habits, how my grandfather had warned her. "Your mother is no better. Diane has champagne tastes on a beer budget. They enable each other's worst tendencies." "But what can we do now?" I asked. "Even if we secure my tuition, they still took my money." "That brings us to phase 2, Grandma said, flipping a tab. Practical consequences." Her plan was comprehensive. In their hasty departure, my family had left countless loose ends, all house keys, but no change to the security code, an empty fridge, unpaid bills. "They assumed you would handle everything," Grandma observed, "as you always have." She had already researched legal implications, called the cruise line, pretending to be my mother to confirm return details, and contacted her friend Terry, a retired attorney, for advice. "We need to be ready," she explained. "No emotional scenes, no accusations they can dismiss. Just calm, firm consequences with no wiggle room." The plan unfolded with military precision. First, a locksmith to change all exterior locks. "They took the keys, but left us behind," Grandma reasoned. "Clearly, they forfeit entry privileges without our approval." Then, an inventory of valuables. We documented everything: the empty student loan account, the cruise social media posts, their note. "Rosie," she said seriously, "the most important thing is that you are prepared to hold firm. They will cry, they will yell, they will try to make you feel guilty. They will say you are overreacting or that it was just a misunderstanding. They will promise to pay you back someday when it is convenient for them." I nodded, knowing she was right. "And you need to be ready to say no. To say that their behavior has consequences, and those consequences are immediate and non-negotiable." "What if I can't?" I whispered, voicing my deepest fear. "What if I give in like I always do?" Grandma took my hands. "You can and you will, because this time you are not alone. I will be right beside you, and I have 82 years of practice at being stubborn." That made me smile, faintly. Besides, she added with a twinkle, "I have backup." That backup was impressive. Terry, the retired lawyer drafting a legally binding repayment agreement. Martin, a retired locksmith offering discounted services. Her bridge club friends volunteering to be present as witnesses and moral support. "Elderly does not mean powerless," she informed me with dignity. With renewed purpose, I joined her. I called my school's emergency aid line, documented the situation. We secured important documents in Grandma's bank. We moved valuable, sentimental items to her sister's house. By evening, the locks were changed, valuables secured, financial theft documented. "Now for the most difficult part," Grandma said as we ate a simple dinner. Emotional preparation. She was right. They'll say I'm selfish, I said, pushing food around my plate. That they deserve a vacation. That I'm making a big deal out of nothing. And what will you say? Grandma prompted. I took a deep breath. That taking my money without permission was wrong. That actions have consequences. That I need the money back immediately or a signed agreement for repayment. And if they refuse? The question hung in the air. The answer came more easily than I expected. Then I'll file a police report for theft and contact the school to report fraudulent use of student loan funds. Grandma nodded, approvingly. It will not come to that. They are irresponsible, not stupid. But they need to know you are serious. I am serious, I said, surprising myself with the firmness in my voice. This is my future. This is my life. I have worked too hard to let them take it away for a vacation. That is my girl, Grandma said with a proud smile. We spent the evening role-playing. Grandma, with unexpected acting talent, took turns playing my father's blustering authority, my mother's tearful manipulations, my siblings' deflections. With each round, my responses grew more confident, my resolve stronger. Remember, Grandma said as we parted for the night, you are not just doing this for yourself. You are doing it for them too. Real love means setting boundaries. Without consequences, they will never change. I lay in bed, reflecting. I had discovered a strength in myself I hadn't known existed, and an ally in Grandma Eleanor I had always taken for granted. Day one of our plan dawned cold and clear. Martin, the locksmith, arrived promptly. Terrible thing, family taking advantage like that, he said, and within 2 hours, all locks were changed, a new electronic keypad on the front door. After your family makes amends, you can decide who gets permanent access, he explained. The symbolism wasn't lost on me. For the first time, I would control who entered my space. Terry, the retired lawyer, arrived next. She placed a folder on the table. This is a legally binding repayment agreement, she explained. It outlined the unauthorized withdrawal of $9,876, set a repayment schedule with interest, and included consequences for missed payments. Begin from a position of strength, she advised. We stocked the fridge, paid urgent bills, keeping careful records. Added to their tab, Grandma said grimly as we wrote a check for the overdue electric bill. By evening, the house was secured, documented, and the paperwork ready. I felt a growing confidence, like putting on armor, piece by piece. Day 2 brought new challenges. My mother posted more cruise photos, best family vacation ever. So grateful. The casual cruelty of excluding Grandma and me, while using my money, stung afresh. More worrying, my bank notified me of attempted credit card charges from the cruise ship gift shop. Declined due to insufficient credit. Unbelievable, I said. They steal $10,000 and then try to charge more? Entitlement breeds entitlement, Grandma replied, unsurprised. I reported the fraud to the card company. Grandma's friend Beth, a retired social worker, came over to help us practice. They'll try to push your buttons, she warned. They know exactly which ones work because they installed them. Beth, playing my mother, wailed with frightening accuracy. After all, we have sacrificed for you. This is how you repay us? By changing the locks on our own home. Each time I practiced, this is not about past sacrifices. This is about the $10,000 taken from my account without permission. We can discuss access to the house after we resolve the financial issue. By evening, I felt stronger, though anxiety still churned beneath the surface. The cruise ship was on schedule to return tomorrow. Day 3 was final preparations. What if they refused to sign? What if they made a scene? We developed a response for each scenario. A rental car was reserved in case we needed to leave quickly. We are not doing this to punish them, Grandma reminded me. We are doing this to establish boundaries and consequences. That evening, a text finally arrived from my mother. Having the most amazing time, flying home tomorrow, slight emergency with your father's work. See you around dinner time. Cannot wait to tell you all about it. Love you. No mention of my money. No acknowledgement. And so it begins, Grandma said. The pretense that everything is normal. I didn't reply. Day 4 dawned with a light snow. This should have been Christmas morning, family gathered around a tree. Instead, Grandma and I sat at the kitchen table, watching the clock. Their flight had landed. A text from Olivia confirmed they were in a rideshare heading home. Grandma's friends began to arrive. Terry, Beth, Martin, 3 members of the bridge club. A gray-haired army of support, gathering in the living room. Thank you all for coming, I said, touched. We take care of our own, Terry replied simply. Eleanor has been there for each of us at some point. The home security system beeped. A car pulled into the driveway. Through the window, I watched my family emerge, sunburned and laden with souvenirs, laughing. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat. Grandma came to stand beside me, her small hand finding mine. Remember who you are, she said quietly. Remember what you deserve. I nodded, squeezing her hand as the doorbell rang. It was time. The doorbell rang again, more insistently. I took a deep breath, exchanged a final glance with Grandma, and moved to the front window. My father reached for his keys. "Rosie," my mother called, spotting me. "We're home. Open up. It's freezing out here." I pressed the intercom. "I can see that," I replied, my voice steadier than I expected. "Why are your keys not working?" My father's face appeared at the window, confused, then angry. "What the hell? Did you change the locks?" "Yes," I confirmed simply. "We need to talk before you come in." "This is ridiculous," he sputtered, his face reddening beneath his fresh tan. "It's 20 degrees out here, and we've been traveling all day. Let us in right now. We can talk through the doorbell camera," I said, nodding to Grandma who activated the device, "or you can agree to a calm conversation about what happened with my student loan money." Their faces on the small screen showed a range of emotions. Dad, outraged; Mom, confused; Jacob, embarrassed; Olivia, concerned. "What are you talking about?" my mother asked, though her eyes darted away from the camera. "We just need to get inside. We can discuss whatever is bothering you then." "I am talking about the $10,000 you took from my account without permission," I said clearly. "The money that was for my final semester of nursing school. The money you spent on a cruise without even asking me." A moment of silence. My father recovered first. "Now listen here," he began, his sales pitch voice kicking in. "We didn't steal anything. That was a family account, and it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a last-minute cancellation. We deserved a vacation after everything we've been through this year." "That does not explain why you didn't ask me first," I replied. "Or why you left Grandma alone without proper care." "Mom was fine," my mother interjected quickly. "And we were going to pay you back, of course. We just needed to enjoy the holidays first," my father added. "With my money," I countered. "Money I needed for school." My mother's expression turned pleading. "Sweetie, you're making this into something it's not. We're family. We share things. Now, please let us in before we freeze." Grandma stepped up beside me. "There will be conditions for entry," she announced firmly. My father's face darkened. "Mom, you're behind this. This is between us and Rosalind." "You left me here too, Harold," Grandma reminded him. With no discussion, no proper arrangements, just a note telling Rosalind to take care of me as if I am a houseplant. "We knew Rosie would be here," my mother said defensively. "And the ship wasn't accessible for someone with your mobility issues." "Convenient," Grandma replied dryly. My siblings had been largely silent, but now Jacob stepped forward. "This is stupid. It's our house too. You can't keep us out." "Actually, we can," I replied. "And we will, until we have discussed the repayment of my money." "Repayment?" my mother echoed, as if the concept was entirely foreign. "Honey, of course, we'll pay you back eventually. When things settle down." "When?" I pressed. "How? With what money?" The uncomfortable shifting and avoided gazes told me everything. There was no plan. There never had been. "Here is what is going to happen," I said, channeling Grandma's calm authority. "We have prepared a repayment agreement. You will review and sign it. Then we can discuss entry to the house." "This is insane," my father exploded. "You can't treat your family like this. After everything we've done for you." Something inside me hardened at his words. "What exactly have you done for me, Dad? Taken my college fund? Borrowed my car and returned it broken? Used my student loan for a vacation while I worked 3 jobs to put myself through school?" His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. By now, a few neighbors had noticed the commotion. The Patels next door were openly watching. "Perhaps we should continue this conversation more privately," my mother suggested, her social embarrassment overriding everything else. "I agree," I said. "There's a coffee shop 3 blocks away. We can meet there in 15 minutes to discuss the agreement." "In this weather?" "With all our luggage," my father protested. "Your choice," I replied with a shrug. Public discussion on the porch with the neighbors watching, or private discussion at the coffee shop. They huddled, whispering urgently. Finally, my mother turned back to the camera. "Fine, the coffee shop. But only you, Rosalind, not your grandmother's friends." She'd spotted Terry through the window. "Non-negotiable," I replied. "Terry comes with me, as does Grandma. The others will wait here." More whispers, then reluctant agreement. They trudged back to their rideshare. 15 minutes later, we sat in the back corner of Magnolia Coffee, festive with twinkling lights. The contrast between the holiday decor and our tense faces was stark. Terry placed the folder on the table. "This is a legally binding repayment agreement," she explained in her crisp, professional voice. "It outlines the unauthorized withdrawal of $9,876 from Rosalind's account and establishes a schedule for repayment." My father didn't even reach for it. "This is ridiculous. We don't need lawyers and contracts. We are family." "Family does not steal from family," Grandma replied simply. "We didn't steal," my mother insisted, her voice rising. "It was a misunderstanding." "What part was misunderstood?" I asked quietly. "The part where you knew it was my student loan money. The part where you didn't ask permission. The part where you knew I needed it for school." No one answered directly. Look, Jacob finally said, what's done is done. The money is spent. We can't magically give it back right now. Which is why there is a repayment plan, Terry interjected, tapping the folder. Starting with an immediate payment of $1,000 from your return flight refunds. My head snapped up. What return flight refunds? A guilty look passed between my parents. We had to change our return flights, my mother admitted. The original ones were for December 27th, but your father had a work emergency. So, you have refunds coming, Grandma concluded. Which will go directly to Rosalind. More uncomfortable shifting. My father finally picked up the agreement, his frown deepening. These terms are ridiculous. There's no way we can pay back this much this quickly. Then Rosalind will have no choice but to pursue other options, Terry said calmly, including reporting the unauthorized use of student loan funds, which I understand can trigger investigations by both the school and the lending institution. My mother paled. You wouldn't do that to your own family. I didn't want to, I said honestly. I wanted to come home for Christmas, spend time with my family, and go back to school to finish my degree. You are the ones who changed the plan, not me. For the first time, Olivia spoke up. Mom, Dad, she's right. We took her money without asking. That was wrong. My sister's unexpected support created a shift in the atmosphere. My mother's defiance crumbled slightly. My father looked less certain. At minimum, Terry continued, the credit card charges attempted from the cruise ship gift shop need to be addressed. What credit card charges? My father asked sharply, looking at my mother. She had the grace to look embarrassed. I may have tried to use Rosa's card for a few souvenirs. I thought it would be fine. After taking $10,000, you tried to charge more? Grandma asked, incredulously. The conversation continued for nearly an hour. My parents cycled through denial, anger, minimizing, and blame shifting. Jacob largely supported them, while Olivia became increasingly uncomfortable. Outside, the snow accumulated. Inside, the ice between us slowly began to crack. What happens if we don't sign? My father finally asked, pushing the agreement away. Then you don't enter the house, I said simply. And I pursue legal options for recovering the money. You would make your own family homeless at Christmas? My mother asked, tears finally appearing. You would steal your daughter's education money for a cruise, Grandma countered. The stalemate stretched on. Terry checked her watch pointedly. I have another appointment in 30 minutes, she said. So, a decision needs to be made. My father stared at me, perhaps seeing me clearly for the first time, not as his compliant daughter, but as a woman standing her ground. We cannot pay it all back immediately, he finally said, his voice less combative. The agreement does not require that, I pointed out. It requires good faith, immediate payment of what you can, and a structured plan for the rest. After another tense silence, my mother reached for the agreement. We will sign, she said quietly. But I want it noted that we were always going to pay you back. This formal approach was unnecessary. I bit back a retort, recognizing the small victory. One by one, they signed the document, my father last, and with visible reluctance. Now, can we go home? Jacob asked sullenly. Yes, I said, gathering the signed papers. But things will be different. As we walked back through the snow-covered streets, I explained the new household rules. Temporary entry codes, not permanent ones. Financial responsibilities clearly documented and shared. Grandma's social security checks deposited directly to her personal account. This feels like punishment, my mother complained. This feels like consequences, I corrected her. There is a difference. When we reached the house, Grandma's friends had departed, except for Martin, who explained the new security system. My family entered their changed home with subdued expressions, taking in the absence of Christmas decorations, the practical groceries, the neatly organized bills. Welcome home, I said, feeling the weight of change settle over us all. The first night with my family back was tense, to say the least. My parents retreated to their bedroom, the weight of consequences visibly heavy. Jacob alternated between sullen silence and forced jokes that fell flat. Only Olivia made genuine efforts to repair the damage, helping me with dinner, asking thoughtful questions about my final semester. Grandma Eleanor maintained her position as moral compass and mediator, firm, but not punitive. This is not about making anyone suffer, she reminded me privately. It is about creating change. Over the next week, the patterns established during our confrontation continued to play out. My parents initially resisted the new financial accountability, complaining about the detailed expense tracking. My father attempted to reassert control several times. I am the head of this household, he declared during one heated discussion about the electricity bill. And I am the one holding you accountable, I countered. The agreement you signed requires financial transparency. Gradually, the resistance began to fade. The signed repayment agreement hung on the refrigerator as a constant reminder. The first payment, drawn from their flight refunds and supplemented by the sale of some cruise souvenirs, was transferred to my account. Grandma's influence was crucial during this transition. Harold James Wilson, she would say, using his full name. This situation is of your creation, not Rosalind's. She is teaching you responsibility, something I clearly failed to do adequately. With Eleanor's temporary loan covering my immediate school expenses, I was able to register for my final clinical rotations on time. The relief was immense. 2 weeks after their return, I went back to Chicago. The distance provided perspective for everyone. Weekly video calls included financial updates. My father took on weekend consulting work. My mother reduced her shopping and started selling and used items online. The most surprising development came from my siblings. Jacob, after initial resistance, seemed to transform. On one video call, he showed me his new budgeting app and shared he'd taken on additional shifts at his recording studio job. I never realized how much you were carrying for all of us, he admitted awkwardly. It wasn't fair. Olivia went even further, calling me privately to apologize. I was part of it too, she said. Taking advantage of you, I mean. I just never saw it that way until now. Until I saw how hard you fought for yourself. These conversations weren't easy. Years of established patterns don't change overnight. There were setbacks, like when my mother borrowed from the repayment fund for a department store sale. But each time, I held firm to the boundaries we had established. And each time, it became a little easier. Grandma Eleanor, true to her word, moved part-time to Chicago after I graduated, renting a small apartment near my new job at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Her presence helped me maintain my newfound strength and provided a buffer as my relationship with my parents slowly healed on more equal footing. The following Christmas was dramatically different. Instead of elaborate, credit card-funded gift exchanges, we agreed on modest, thoughtful presents. My parents hosted a small dinner rather than an extravagant party. Most importantly, they had repaid nearly half of what they had taken, making consistent monthly payments, even when it required sacrifices. The lessons I learned from that terrible Christmas transformed me in ways I never anticipated. I discovered my own strength and worth. I learned that real love includes boundaries and accountability. I realized that allowing people to experience the consequences of their actions is sometimes the greatest gift you can give them. As a nurse, these lessons proved invaluable. I brought new empathy to patients struggling with difficult family dynamics. I understood, from personal experience, that healing often begins with painful truth. My relationship with my family will never be what it was before. The blind trust is gone, replaced by something more cautious, but ultimately more genuine. My parents still struggle with financial responsibility, but now they do so openly, asking for guidance rather than taking advantage. My siblings have become allies rather than competitors for resources. And Grandma Eleanor, at 84, continues to demonstrate that it is never too late to change family patterns. Her courage in standing with me and acknowledging her own role in creating my father's sense of entitlement remains one of the greatest acts of love I have ever witnessed. Sometimes the most valuable Christmas gift is not found under a tree or on a cruise ship. Sometimes it comes in the form of difficult conversations, painful growth, and the courage to say no more to those we love most. That terrible note on the refrigerator led to the most important journey of my life. Not across the Caribbean, but across the much more challenging terrain of self-worth and family healing. Have you ever had to stand up to family members who took advantage of you?